So today, we're diving into a world where every single move you make can make or break you. We're talking about professional chess.
Oh yeah, high stakes.
The highest of stakes.
Absolutely.
And specifically, we are going to be taking a look at Game 6 of the 2024 FIDE World Championship
Wow.
between Ding Liren,
Current champ,
the reigning champ, that's right, and challenger,
the young prodigy.
the incredibly talented Gukesh D.
Kukesh, yeah. It's been an exciting match so far, hasn't it?
It has, and we've got some really cool stuff to work with today. We've got the move-by-move notation from the game itself.
Oh, wow.
And we've got 3 different analyses
Okay.
by some real experts.
Oh, cool.
And here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
So picture this. It's December 1st. We're in Singapore.
All right.
Match is tied 3-3. The tension is palpable. You can cut it with a knife.
Yeah.
And Gukesh, who's playing black in this game,
Uh-huh.
does something completely unexpected.
Oh. I wonder what that is.
He declines a draw by repetition.
Wow. That's something you don't see every day,
You don't see it every day.
especially at that level.
Especially at that level.
So to really understand the significance of that, we need to back up a little bit
Okay.
and look at the bigger picture.
All right. So let's rewind.
Yeah.
Tell me about these 2 players.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about why this game was so crucial?
Well, like you said, you got Ding Liren, the world champion. He's known for this really solid positional style. He's like a fortress, really hard to break down.
Okay.
And then you've got Gukesh, the challenger. He's really dynamic, super aggressive,
Yeah.
always looking for ways to unbalance the game,
Yeah.
to kind of create chaos and then capitalize on that.
So a classic clash of styles then.
Yeah.
The experienced champion versus the up-and-comer.
Exactly. And with the match tied going into game 6, every single decision, every single move carries so much weight, the whole championship could hinge on it.
So let's unpack this decline draw offer a little bit.
Okay.
First, for those of us who maybe aren't grandmasters,
Okay.
could you just explain what draw by repetition means in chess?
Sure. Imagine a scenario where the same sequence of moves is played like 3 times in a row.
Okay.
It's kind of like a stalemate in the flow of the game. Neither side is really able to make progress.
Okay.
And according to the rules of chess, if that happens, either player can claim a draw.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in this game, Ding basically offered Gukesh a chance to just split the points, call it a tie. But Gukesh was like, no thanks, I'm going for the win.
Yeah.
So what do you think was going through his mind? Was it just youthful bravado?
Well, the experts we've looked at suggest it was probably a lot more calculated than that.
Okay.
Remember, Gukesh is known for his deep calculation abilities and risk-taking style. And these analyses we've got indicate that he might have seen something that others missed. Maybe a subtle weakness in Ding's position, a chance to press for an advantage.
So he's not just being reckless. He's seeing something that's not obvious to the casual observer.
Exactly. It wasn't a young player wanting to keep fighting just for the sake of it. It was a calculated gamble based on his reading of the position. And the fact that he was willing to take that risk in such a high-pressure situation, it speaks volumes about his mindset.
Yeah, that's interesting. It reminds me of a poker player who sees a tell in their opponent and they decide to go all in.
Right.
They're risking a lot, but they think the potential reward is worth it.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And what's really fascinating here is that this risk-taking attitude actually started way back at the opening.
Hold on. Are you saying Gukesh's decision to decline the draw later on was connected to how the game began?
Absolutely. Remember, Ding opened with the English opening, which is known for being really flexible and strategically rich. It's often used by white to kind of avoid sharp theoretical battles early on and instead steer the game towards a more positional, slower kind of style.
So Ding was playing it cool then.
Exactly. And Gukesh's response was really interesting. He didn't try to force any early fireworks either, but he played really solidly. He showed that he understands the nuances of the English.
Okay, so both players kind of feeling each other out in the opening,
Yeah.
trying to get a read on their opponent's strategy before fully committing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, bam, Gukesh throws this curveball by declining the draw.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, all right, enough of this subtle maneuvering. Let's raise the stakes. Let's see what you're really made of.
Wow, that's some serious psychological warfare.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got a clash of styles, incredibly high stakes, and a bold decision that completely changes the whole dynamic of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the edge of my seat. What happened next? did his gamble pay off?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting. Gukesh's decision leads to a sequence of moves that are both complex and dramatic.
Okay, so we've set the stage.
Yeah.
Let's get into those moves.
Let's do it.
Let's see how this psychological battle played out on the board.
Yep.
So Gukesh declines this draw. What happens next? Does it pay off for him?
Well, not right away. We were talking about how aggressive his style is. Well, this is where it really comes into play. So after he declines the draw, he launches this series of attacks, trying to, really take advantage of any potential weaknesses in Ding's position.
So he's not just trying to keep the game going, he's actually going for the win.
Exactly. Like a boxer who, senses his opponent is wobbly, starts throwing haymakers.
Okay.
One of the most striking moments of the game was this pawn sacrifice he made to activate his queen.
Okay, I'm going to need you to explain that one.
Okay.
Pawn sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like I'm 5. What did he gain by giving up a piece?
Okay, so imagine the chessboard as a battlefield, right?
Okay.
And the pawns are like your foot soldiers.
Okay.
Sometimes you might sacrifice one of those soldiers to create an opening for your most powerful piece, the queen. So it can launch a really devastating attack.
Okay, so it's like clearing a path for your heavy artillery.
Exactly. And in this case, that sacrifice put enormous pressure on Ding's king side. For a moment, it really looked like Gukesh might pull off this stunning upset.
So Ding just crumbled under the pressure then?
Not at all. This is where Ding's experience and defensive mastery really shines.
Okay.
He just weathered the storm, He parried each one of Gukesh's threats with unbelievable accuracy.
So even though Gukesh had this burst of aggression, Ding was able to kind of neutralize it.
Exactly. It's almost like a martial arts master deflecting blows,
Okay.
using his opponent's momentum against them.
Wow.
Ding's defense was so precise, he was able to simplify the position. And he steered the game into this more controlled endgame.
So Gukesh creates this big dramatic moment with the pawn sacrifice. Ding's able to regain control. What does this tell us about their strengths, their weaknesses?
Well, it definitely highlights Gukesh's incredible tactical vision, this willingness to take risks, but it also shows a potential weakness. Sometimes his aggression can lead him into slightly unsound positions.
Oh, so like it can backfire if he's not careful.
Yeah, exactly. It's a double-edged sword. And on the other side of the board, you see Ding's defensive skills.
Mm-hmm.
His ability to remain calm even under pressure. He doesn't panic.
Yeah.
He just methodically finds the best moves to counter whatever threats are thrown at him.
So he's almost playing mental chess as much as he is playing the game itself.
He's trying to anticipate Gukesh's aggression, figure out how to turn it to his advantage.
Right. So even though this attack ultimately didn't lead to a win for Gukesh, it wasn't a complete failure.
No, not at all. Even though the game eventually ended in a draw, these sequences, this drama that unfolded after the declined draw, it had a huge impact on the match as a whole.
Okay. How so?
Well, think about it. Now, Ding knows that Gukesh isn't afraid to push the boundaries, even when a draw is right there in front of him.
Right.
So this knowledge could affect Ding's decisions in future games. Maybe make him a little more cautious, maybe even try to bait Gukesh into overextending himself.
So Gukesh gains a psychological edge even though he didn't win the game.
Right, he's showing that he's unpredictable. He's willing to gamble for the win.
Wow, that's really interesting. It really makes you think about this mental game that they're playing. What other insights do the experts have into this psychological battle between these two players?
One thing they point out is emotional resilience.
Okay.
This match was tied going into Game 6. So the pressure must have been immense, but neither player let those emotions get the better of them.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that kind of pressure.
I know. Every move, every decision could cost them the championship.
Right.
And yet, both Ding and Gukesh, they showed this remarkable composure. Even when things got really chaotic, they stayed focused.
Wouldn't declining the draw make Gukesh more predictable, though, in future games? Yeah. I mean, if I were Ding, I would be looking for that aggression, trying to anticipate his risky moves.
That's a great point. It's this classic dilemma in chess. Do you stick with stick with the style that got you to the top? Or do you try to adapt and surprise your opponent? In a way, Gukesh's declined draw adds this whole other layer to the match.
Okay.
It's like he's dared Ding to figure out his next move, to try and decipher what his intentions are.
This is getting way deeper than I ever imagined. We've gone from analyzing a single game to this psychological battle of wits. It's incredible. What else can you tell me about this mental chess game that they're playing?
Okay, so we've talked about this bold move by Gukesh, all this back and forth and the psychological impact of it all.
Right.
But this was just one game in a match that goes up to 14, right?
That's to 14.
How does this one game, and specifically this decline draw offer, how does that affect the whole championship?
It's interesting because it's almost like this one game is like a mini version of the entire match.
Okay.
It's a chess game within a chess game.
Wow.
Each player trying to anticipate their opponent's next move, not just on the board, but like with their overall strategy for the whole match.
So Gucesh's decision wasn't just about game 6, it was about sending a message.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, I'm not afraid to take risks.
Yeah.
I'm here to win, and I'm going to make you sweat it out.
It really throws a wrench into Dung's calculations, you know, makes him have to reassess his whole approach.
So he's kind of playing mind games with the champ.
Yeah, a little bit. And it takes some serious guts to do that.
It does.
And, you know, this leads to another fascinating point that the experts bring up. It's about how chess itself is evolving.
Okay.
You know, in a lot of ways, this match is a clash between two different, like, eras of the game.
Hold on. What do you mean eras of chess?
We've got Ding Liren, who kind of represents this more classic positional style of play. It's about, you know, building long-term advantages,
Right.
controlling key squares, and slowly squeezing your opponent.
Okay.
And then you've got Gukesh, who is more like the modern dynamic approach. You know, he's not afraid to sacrifice material to create imbalances, go for the throat.
So it's like old school versus new school.
You could say that, yeah, and the outcome of this match could have a real impact on how chess is played at this highest level in the coming years.
Wow. That's a lot of pressure on their shoulders then.
It is.
So if Gukesh wins, does that mean we're going to see more of these aggressive attacking players?
It's possible, yeah. You know, his success could inspire a whole new generation to embrace that more dynamic risk-taking style.
So it'd be like a total shift in the chess world.
Yeah, it'd be huge.
And what if Ding wins?
Well, if Ding wins, it would kind of be like a vindication of those classical principles, you know?
Okay.
It would show that even in this world of like computers and rapid calculation and all that, solid positional play, strategic depth, it can still win out in the end.
So no matter who wins this, is a really big moment for chess.
It is, yeah.
It's about shaping the future of the game.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so interesting to follow, whether you're, you know, a hardcore chess fan or just a casual observer.
Yeah.
We're watching history unfold right in front of us.
Okay, so we've gone deep into the strategy, the psychology, even the history of all this. What's the big takeaway you want to leave the listener with today?
If there's one thing to remember, it's that chess is more than just a game. It's this battle of minds, a test of will, and it reflects the human spirit to strategize, to outsmart your opponent, to win.
Wow, I like that. And just imagine all this drama, all this intrigue, it's all contained within 64 squares.
Yeah, it's amazing. And think about this. Every one of these chess players, every single champion, they all started somewhere.
Right.
They learned the rules, they studied the games, practiced endlessly, they embraced the challenge, they took risks, they learned from their mistakes.
So you're saying if anyone listening is inspired by what we've talked about today, they can give it a try.
Absolutely. Pick up a chess set, learn how to play, and who knows, maybe someday you'll be declining draws and making these bold moves at the World Championships.
Well, this has really opened my eyes to this whole world.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And I hope it's done the same for you listening out there.
Yeah. It's a world full of surprises and challenges and big wins. And the coolest thing is, it's always evolving. There's always something new to discover.
So until next time, keep those minds sharp and never underestimate the power of a well-played gambit.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.